But first, a stormy sky shared by Chase McGo earlier this morning as storms rolled in. This was taken in Cordova area. We still expect a few isolated storms over the next couple of days as we kick off the weekend. But that's the big change here. We've been telling you a lot about rain chances backing way off. I mean, this is going to be nothing like the showers that we've been dealing with out there. And I know the ground's kind of soggy. It's like a sponge, so we still have a lot of moisture that's in the atmosphere. That's going to also drive up heat index.
Oh yeah, unfortunately. So it's not like the rain's going to completely go away. That moisture is still going to be there, as Wes said. We're just, instead of the rain being the big story, it's now going to be the heat.
I know, it's always give or take, right?
It is.
Well, listen, we've got show you the setup here. Big ridge, high pressure. It's going to be building in as we go to the next big thing. We'll show you here. You'll see that that's going to be building in across the region, and what that's going to do is set the stage for lower rain chances, fewer storms, and building heat during the afternoon. We're talking high temperatures in the 90s, but the heat index will be rising above 100 degrees over the next couple of days, and that summertime ridge, we see that a lot, and basically it's a lot of warmer air aloft. When we see that particular setup, we don't see quite as many storms, quite as many showers, but there's still a chance we might get a couple of isolated storms tomorrow in areas to the southwest. Things are quiet for this evening, but when we go to First Alert AccuTrack, you see there are some leftover clouds, but there's an axis in here. I was looking at some data earlier, and it seems like some of that deeper moisture is down into the southwest part of the area temporarily, and that's where we could see a few of those pop-up storms tomorrow. The model's picking up on that. This is some of the HRRR data, just some simulated radar information. The one thing I noticed is that it wants to maybe bring an isolated shower or storm southwest in the morning. So areas to the southwest, just keep in the morning out the door. Check in with us on good day. There might be an isolated pop-up, so I've kind of focused in on that area. But most of us rain-free tomorrow. Certainly a noted drop-off compared to what we saw out there for today. But some foggy weather could be around in the morning. Something else that we're watching, giving you that first alert out the door. Isolated storm chance. Again, I put mainly southwest tomorrow, but this weekend, even with those isolated storm chances, we're going to have a chance to really heat up out there. Look at that heat index, 95 to 105. Here it comes, and right on track with the arrival of the summer season. But as we move ahead, we are going to be talking more about those rain chances into next week. Of course, all these storms that we've had this morning leaving damage across the area. This was actually on Forest Drive in Homewood. Another tree that fell on a home early this morning. All the rain, the ground's just so saturated. And a similar situation happening last night on 85th Street. Neighbors tell us there was damage to both the inside and outside of a home. You can see the exposed insulation from the ceiling, and we're told the family that lives there made it out with minor bumps and bruises. Thankfully, they are okay, but it was still, of course, a terrifying experience for the homeowners, and the mother who was there rushed over. Actually, the mother rushed over when she heard what had happened. So not only has the rain caused trees to fall, it's also backed up sewer drains across the city. It's just caused all kinds of problems. Your reporter Jillian Brooks joining us to break down the rain totals that we have seen and when you can expect some relief.
If you feel like it has not stopped raining, you're not alone. First Alert meteorologist Lauren Linehan says May was one of the wettest months on record.
We've had this tropical air mass sitting over us, and it's just like the atmosphere just kind of wants to wring all of that moisture out. And so each day we've been seeing more storms than we would typically see on a summer day.
And all of that rain means flash flooding. Drivers stuck in traffic during rush hour on Wednesday after this sewer drain on Valley Avenue and 18th Street got backed up.
Problem is, we have been going since May with very saturated ground. And so when you have these tropical downpours that set up in the afternoon and evening hours during the heat of the day, when the atmosphere begins to bubble up and you get those storms developing, there's so much moisture in the air, when it wrings it out, it doesn't have anywhere to go.
The saturated ground mixed with strong winds causing trees to come down, like at this home on Forest Drive in Homewood. This one on 85th Street South, the tree doing major damage inside the home. And Thursday morning, this tree falling on Pratt Highway.
And I wanted to show you here some of the rainfall totals over the past 7 days. This is some of the estimates from our AccuTrack system, radar estimates. And just notice I pointed out a couple of areas, according to radar estimates, over 6 inches of rain just over the past 7 days. So, I mean, coming off of May and then into June, you know, we talked about 30-plus days over the past 48 where we've had measurable rain on most days. That's, of course, one of the reasons why we've had some big problems out there with some of these toppled trees and soggy soils. And that's going to, at least with the rain chances backing off over the next few days, at least that hopefully will improve some. Lauren?
Well, Wes, taking you to the eastern Pacific now, where Hurricane Eric made landfall early this morning, bringing destructive winds and torrential rainfall. It has officially made history as the earliest major hurricane to make landfall in both the Atlantic and Pacific. Landing in Wakaka, Eric was a Category 3 hurricane with winds of 125 miles per hour. It will continue to move inland and will continue to rapidly weaken before dissipating by early tomorrow morning. The National Hurricane Center still warning residents to be mindful of the wind and rain as they continue, and it could lead to flash flooding and landslides. Well, back here in the state, severe weather across Michigan causing communities to clean up today. There was a significant number of downed trees and power lines, and moderate flooding continued. With 2 rounds of storms today, the first round earlier this morning, also producing a tornado which left behind damage. And in 30 seconds, we bring the latest on just how hot it's going to get for the first day of summer tomorrow and the science behind the atmospheric feature that is causing temperatures to skyrocket. We'll be right back.
And right now, checking out the radar, of course, all the wet weather has moved on out of here. We were tracking quite a bit of rain earlier today. Looks like for this evening, we'll have some dry conditions if you're heading out, which, of course, we're getting close to first pitch time. But you can see tonight, if you're going out to see the Barons by 9-10 o'clock, temperatures down into the 70s. Could be a little bit of fog around early tomorrow morning. Otherwise, most of our Friday will be dry. I just think there might be some isolated storms and showers in areas south and southwest, especially for tomorrow. We're going to keep those rain chances around 20 to 30%, but you want to take the time. We're talking about all the rain. Check around the backyard, check around the house. If you have any empty flower pots, anything holding water, make sure you empty those out, because those are prime territory for growing mosquitoes. And we know that after weather like this, the skeeter meter, well, it is in the extreme range out there. And certainly over the weekend, if you're spending time out by the lake and by the pool, just keep that in mind. We're going to see heightened. We've already had it's been swampy out there, it seems like, over the past few weeks, but the mosquitoes and even the frogs are loving it. But as we see those temperatures rise, well, the meteorologist Lauren Linehan joins us with the weather lowdown on we showed that upper level ridge right off the top of the show, and just give us a little breakdown, Lauren. We get into these patterns sometimes, and tell us a little bit about the Bermuda High. That's another that we talk about quite often.
Yeah, you know, especially in the summertime, Wes, we have this little feature that sits over the western Atlantic called the Bermuda High. And it's because, well, quite frankly, it's kind of near Bermuda. It'll set up around Bermuda, and it's this area of high pressure that often sets up in the summer months, especially just off of the east coast of the U.S. And so what happens in the northern hemisphere, you have air moving clockwise around high pressure. So for us, if that high is nearby, it can oftentimes bring southerly flow off of the Gulf for us, and that can lead to heightened rain chances, which, spoiler alert, kind of what we've been seeing lately. But let's see how things are going to be changing here. That Bermuda High is going to be shifting eastward, and that ridge of high pressure that has been over the desert southwest is going to be moving towards us as well, also shifting eastward. The difference is, instead of a high being off to the side, it's going to be smack dab over us, and so that means some big things for us. When you see that blue WH on the weather map in the middle of summer, well, technically it's starting tomorrow, but when you see that in the summer, that means that should go ahead and signal to you a first alert for above average temperatures. Because with a high pressure ridge, you have air sinking. And when air is sinking, it really helps to limit thunderstorm development. Because what do you need for thunderstorm development? Rising motion. And so when you get thunderstorms, that can help create low pressure. You've got that air rising, moving away from the surface, and that can create thunderstorms. That's not to say we've been telling you there could still be some isolated storm chances, but with that ridge of high pressure in place, it puts a little lid on the atmosphere and really hinders storm development, but it also helps temperatures to steadily climb. So with this feature with us all the way into a good portion of next week, I think we're going to be seeing several days on end with temperatures in the 90s, and then you factor in the humidity, and it could certainly be feeling a lot hotter than that. So for perspective, as we're wrapping up June, our average high is right around 89 degrees. So you see each day we're just getting a little bit warmer and a little bit warmer. And that tells us that is that influence of the ridge becoming more and more potent in the days ahead. So that's your weather lowdown on high pressure ridges. Well, a new study showing that higher global temperatures could cause food crops to fall by 50% by the end of the century. Scientists studied 6 crops, including maize, rice, and wheat. They found that for every 1 degree Celsius the world warms above pre-industrial levels, global food production drops by roughly 120 calories per person daily. They say that will eventually cause food prices to rise and make access to getting food more difficult. Well, up in Canada, hundreds of people in Badger, Newfoundland were told to leave their homes Wednesday as a wildfire closed in. Officials there believe the fire was sparked by lightning on Tuesday. Garrett Berry spoke with some of the evacuees.
But now my nerves are really on edge.
An anxious evening for residents of Badger who are leaving their homes and even animals behind to seek shelter.
There is not a lot of dry grass around them. There's big open fields here, so we're kind of hoping that they're going to be safe where they're to.
As families quickly packed their belongings,
We're just prepping for the worst case scenario.
emergency crews went door to door inside the community, urging everyone to leave and marking off which houses had been emptied.
We were presented with sort of worst case scenario in terms of how long it would take to evacuate once it did reach either of those points, and I wasn't comfortable with the amount of time that would leave us to evacuate the communities.
Better safe than sorry, said Newfoundland and Labrador Premier John Hogan, who announced an evacuation notice and then gave an order to leave immediately in short succession today. Many of the town's 700 people are now in Grand Falls, Windsor, a neighboring community about 30 minutes away, sheltering there as fire crews try to get the upper hand on the flames.
Weather has not been helpful for those firefighters so far. There is some showers expected in the area a little bit later in the forecast, but today it's been warm, dry, and windy, all conditions that favor the spread of flames.
The fire bombers was a bit late getting in her, so I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, definitely nervous.
3 water bombers have been assigned to battle the wildfire, and a province-wide fire ban has also been instituted to ensure no new fires erupt to distract the crews.
Well, still ahead, we continue to talk about those low rain chances headed into your Friday, finally, and take you out west to Colorado, where a new invention could help with impacts from hail. We'll be right back.
All right, we're just talking about fried catfish in here. Can't beat it. Can't beat it. Yeah, it's around that time, right? All right, it's here close to supper time. But we're looking at the view here from Gulf Shores at the Hangout. It's 73 degrees right now, and we do have clouds. There's some wet weather down along the coast, but in the tropics, you can see the cloud pattern, some of the outflow from that tropical system that moved in over Mexico off the Pacific side. It weakened. It was that Hurricane Eric, but kind of interesting to see that cloud formation there. But looking at the Gulf Coast forecast, if you're heading down for Saturday and Sunday, enjoying some time at the beach, just know there might be a couple isolated pop-up storms. You can see that rain chance stays rather scattered there through actually a greater chance compared to here locally for some of those pop-ups there along the beach over the next several days, and highs right around 90 degrees. It won't be a total washout, but plan for that possibility of some pop-ups, and certainly make sure you have the WBRC First Alert Weather app. Well, here locally, all the rain's moved on out of here. Actually, a nice little shimmer of sunshine off the Warrior River here in Tuscaloosa at this time. Some bright weather in the mix, and this evening, if you do have plans out there, there will be some nice breaks. A live look from Baptist Health Brookwood, 76 degrees. And in Calhoun County, as we talked about, we got the rain in a lot earlier today, so some improvements here into the evening hours. Now tomorrow, overnight, things stay quiet, maybe some patchy fog out the door in the morning. I still think there might be some pop-ups here to the south. There's an axis where we have some deeper moisture as all that rain moved in. It kind of left a boundary here over South Alabama. So that's where we could see a few isolated pop-up showers, maybe even tomorrow morning. So just giving you that first alert. Don't be surprised in the morning if there's a lone thunderstorm, maybe around Marengo County, some places like that early in the day. But rest of the day and Saturday into Sunday, most of the weekend here, we're talking most areas dry. Certainly a big change compared to what we've been dealing with. Rain chances way more limited, very isolated, and that's going to give way again to those highs in the 90s. But with the moisture and the mugginess going nowhere, it's going to drive up the heat index. So it's still going to feel incredibly humid out there. Those afternoon heat index levels rising above 100. But for most of the shows, just like the kickoff of the amphitheater there on Sunday in Birmingham, looks like dry weather. And as we work mostly into those afternoon hours, that's when those scattered storms will be most likely. But I wanted to get over here to that 10-day forecast so you can see those highs, 95 degrees by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So easily we're going to see that heat index surging above 100. And it certainly looks like the 90-degree temperatures are here to stay. Lauren?
Yeah, Wes, you know, as we look beyond the 7-day, I think that ridge of high pressure that we've been seeing building in, it's going to be a pretty dominant feature as we look beyond the 7 days. So you can see on that 8 to 14-day temperature outlook, this is looking at June 27th through July 3rd. So almost taking us through the 4th of July, looking at the potential for above average temperatures across much of the U.S. And that does include us here in Alabama. So that tells us, hey, we could be seeing some 90s as we wrap up the month and head into July. But we're also seeing the possibility that, hey, even though rain chances are looking a little bit more limited in the days ahead, we could possibly see a switch back to maybe a slightly more unsettled pattern. Maybe not quite what we've been seeing here recently, but just maybe more than a typical hit or miss storm you would see on a classic summer day. So let's look at that future cast for beyond the 7-day. And of course, this time of the year, we always want to keep a close eye on the Gulf and Caribbean. We keep talking about here on Weather Extra how in June, typically if we're going to see tropical development in the Atlantic Basin, it's going to be a homegrown storm. So that would be one that would form in the Gulf or the Caribbean, but thus far it's been pretty quiet. I do think we're going to see some moisture hanging out in the Gulf here over the next week or so. Here we are next Friday showing the possibility of that moisture possibly in the Bay of Campeche moving through the Gulf, but we're not seeing anything organized. It does show us though here back in Alabama the possibility of switching back to a more slightly unsettled weather pattern. Now what I'm showing you here is just one model. I will say another one of the long range models that we use is showing us pretty dry next weekend. I think we all know which one we would like to verify, but just showing you that there's a little bit of a discrepancy. So we're going to be watching this trend here to see if we could end up being a little bit more stormy. But as we get a little bit closer to the end of the month and head into July, you still see though we've got that possibility of a better chance of storms. So maybe that ridge of high pressure not going to be quite as dominant once we get into July, and that would allow for the potential for more storm development. Well, across the nation, severe storms dropping large hail over parts of Colorado. It left dozens of windows, roofs, and car windshields damaged. Fox's Nicole Fierro has the latest.
Here in Milliken, we're seeing a lot of this damage today. Windshield smash, dimples and dents in cars, foliage all over the streets from hail hitting cars, homes, and trees. But we're also seeing a lot of roofing companies coming door to door trying to sell services. We caught up with a couple of them as they got to work. Sounds and sights waking up Milliken residents early this morning.
It was at 3:30 in the morning. It sounded like horses running across the roof of the house. It was crazy loud. Looked out the window and saw golf balls basically falling out of the sky.
Once daylight rolled around, Jim Waddell came outside and saw the damage.
The back window is completely gone. The front is all spider webbed and of course dented from front to back. My other car is the same way.
If you're a homeowner and you walk out front and you see that your vehicle got all banged up, there's a good chance that your roof did as well.
Interstate Roofing Project Manager Kyle Spencer.
This one got pretty beat up. Looks like they had about 1.5 inches hail here. We're going to count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Busy checking out roofs today.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's been broken skylights, there's been paint damage, siding damage, damage to gutters, downspouts. It's kind of a roofer's Monday, right? This is our time to get going for the season.
He gives us some tips, like getting your roof checked once a year.
A lot of people opt for like a class 4 impact resistant shingle, that it's kind of the most affordable upgrade option. But if you never wanted to worry about a roof again, we have products for that as well. It's stone-coated steel.
And with roofers flooding the hail-pummeled streets.
The first thing I would do is look up their Google reviews. Second would be the Better Business Bureau, and then the Colorado Roofing Association are going to be 3 good ways to vet what contractor you have coming out.
Something else we did see over several cars here in the neighborhood, these hail protector shields. They're inflatable, covering the cars to try to prevent that damage. Here in Milliken, Nicole Fierro, Fox 31.
Okay, we've got lower rain chances over the next couple days. Still an isolated chance, though.
Yeah.
Not
so
completely
if that
zero.
one storm pops up over your house, don't say we didn't tell you so.
There you go. Hey, we'll see you back here. We'll have updates tonight. Join us for the forecast first at 9.